I am doing a read aloud this summer with my youngest, and it's not my typical style of book, and so it's taken me a little time to warm up and look at the enjoyable parts of it. But it is heavily on a family and some of their unresolved inner conflict. Mom and dad and three, kids 13 and under, and they've had to move to a new town, and just some of the feelings behind what they're all going through. And Brogan, my 18-year-old, walked in when I was reading a couple chapters, and he said, "Wow, this book is really stressing me out." And he's like, I don't plan on wanting to sit through any more of this. So I've continued to read it with William, and kind of thinking through that, like, when is there going to be some resolve to us growing in our character and not just staying a family of frustration, finally hitting that part of the book. I was really relieved yesterday when we have a meltdown and one of the parents is sick. One parent has to carry all the weight, and it's not going to be possible. And so dad and the three kids have a meltdown at the same time, and they all start saying what the buildup of resentment has been the last 6 months. And you start to see the compassion come out of each one of them for the others, and a plan to help resolve some of the unmet needs, and just the ability to communicate about unrealistic expectations that were behind some of these resentments. It's starting to come out. I'm looking forward to continuing the book to see. And while this isn't a style of book I read often, because I'm not as much a fan of modern books that sort of beat down and criticize the family, or criticize, the parents, or the parents are always acting like kids are a drain. I don't really enjoy that a mental culture in my mind, and I haven't read that a lot to my kids. But the only reason why is because I'm trying to develop a pattern of thinking that says we're not going to stay stuck in that. It isn't that I'm trying to say it's not a reality. I just want a family and a home where we learn to grow in our character, in our communication, in our respect for one another. I think kids need to respect their parents, but I think parents need to handle children in a respectful way. And sometimes it's just not represented in books. But one thing I am getting from this reading outside of my norm is that some resolve is coming, and it was fun to sit down with William and say, doesn't it feel a little bit of a release that they're letting some of this resentment out in a way that we're going to develop some tools and skills to get a family unit again, hopefully, where we can share compassion for one another's needs and begin to meet those. But it just made me think that can be hard in our daily routine with family. We can lose our ability to communicate and be there for each other just because life feels crazy, and we can begin to look down and disrespect one another in our homes. I remember I was, married with kids, and I've always felt like, because of the way I'm emotionally wired and I don't communicate my emotions, I often can feel sick. And I'd gone to a natural health care person, paid the money, did all the exams, and at the end of it, I was waiting for a supplement. I was waiting for pills, just honestly. And he just sat me down and awkwardly looked at me and said, after all my assessment, what I'm going to say to you is you need to talk to someone, and you need to be heard, and you're going to just feel better. And I was like, what? This is the most awkward assessment I've ever had. Like, you checked me all over. How could you even think that? How could we have even gotten to that point? How would you even, what do you know? What do you know? I was a little bit mad that I paid that much money, and that's what I got out of it. But the thing is, it's true. It's true. Built up resentment, built up frustrations, and staying stuck in our communication as parents and kids and families is really making us all super unhealthy. And I saw that in the book I was reading. It made me reconnect that with my kids. Like, if the bottom line, what is making us all miserable, is simply that we're not communicating, and we're not feeling heard, and we're not feeling listened to, and you don't have somebody in the house saying, what can I do to help you, then that's something so free that we could be doing for each other. And I enjoyed having a moment to remember that even though I'm an adult and even though I was married and had kids, I needed someone to stare at me and just say, you still, even though you're old and you feel like you're meeting everyone's needs, you need to be heard. And you need to feel like someone listens to you. And I look at my family and my kids, and I have to remember they all feel that way. And in a life that is based on busy, 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 I think one of the things we could do for us all to stay healthy is to make sure we take time and sit down and give our family space to say something that makes us uncomfortable, something that we don't even understand. If just being heard would be a great boost to their health, and a little bit of loving on them would help them to bloom and blossom. So that was just on my mind as I was driving this morning, and I wanted to say, let's remember at the end of the day, when we're spending money trying to stay well in a lot of other ways, sometime being someone who is willing to listen, especially in our own homes, we overlook each other. And it might be a simple answer to some of the crazy ways that we feel. Have a great day.